Cleanup is progressing very well this morning. Detroit Edison is out in numbers, great numbers. They also blessed us with 10 additional wood chippers this morning, so I think that's a total of about 20 or 21 tree crews here this morning with wood chippers. And the cleanup, we did a walkthrough late last night, and the cleanup is progressing very well. Security from the Monroe County Sheriff's Department and the state police is continuing this morning. As you know, a lot of the electricity went back on last night. The main intersection at US 23 and State Highway 50 is functional this morning, and in the hub of the village is functional this morning. That helped out greatly. A couple things. We still want to pass on the safety of the citizens. We still have some downed wires in the residential district, so we're urging caution with the citizens, and we'll have a greater number of volunteers out today. This morning we're looking at between 200 and 300 volunteers have showed up so far, and we're in the process of getting them out, going door to door, and we are still using our tracking system to check in contractors with IDs, and today they will have on white ID cards with a fluorescent orange square on them to indicating they have permission to be in the area. Another point I'd like to bring out, it's been on several radio stations this morning that our water system in the village is compromised. That is not true. The water is safe to drink. Also, the rumor is out that our sewage treatment plant has been compromised. That is also a rumor and not true. So our public utilities are fine. You do not have to boil your water, and everything from that aspect is working correctly.
Just what can you tell us about anybody that may be unaccounted for, or any pets that may be unaccounted for, or anything like that?
We have several pet rescue organizations in the village this morning. We are not receiving any type of indication that there's any problem with any pet rescues or pets in distress.
Chief, you said the information about the water in the sewer was incorrect. Is that out of the blue information, or is there a reason why that was reported? Was there some issue at some point?
We don't know. We heard about it last night, and then again this morning it was confirmed by several residents that they heard that this morning on some radio stations. We made contact with them and corrected that statement.
But there's never been.
There has never been an issue from the onset. Yes, sir.
What about two things? Just wanted to ask you, one, just quickly, can you tell me, are the schools basically closed for the year? You think, are they going to get out this week? Is that what you're hearing?
Dundee High School has put out that graduation will be Thursday at Eastern Michigan University, I believe at 7 p.m. I talked to the assistant principal last night. They're expecting, I'm not sure if they have power this morning or not, but he indicated to me once they have power, they need 1 day to go online and to check their systems, and then they will allow students back in. And then, of course, we talked about the lines still being down, electrical lines around the school, and there's a lot of children that walk in the village to school, and we want to make sure that that's safe.
So school pretty much, I mean, was it supposed to, I've been out of school for a while, I forget. I mean, is it supposed to be done already in a week's time? Or
Yes, Dundee is scheduled, I think, next week is their last in session. They have asked permission from the state to disregard to excuse these days off this year because it would probably put them, I think he told me, until almost the 20th of this month if they're required to make those days up. So
they don't have to make them up anymore?
Well, they're waiting for word back from the state.
Okay. And my final thing is about determination of the people's spirit. A little bit, if you set aside for your badge for a quick minute and take a look at how quickly people are rebuilding here and your feelings about that when you see people do that.
Well, if you go out into the community, I'll tell you, I was shocked. The cleanup is fantastic. I mean, it's a difference between night and day. And the phone is ringing off the hook from all over, from out of state, for people responding to help us. Google called this morning. They're shutting down their offices tomorrow. sending their staff out. So it's just, I mean, it's overwhelming.
Do you have any hard numbers yet? How many homes have been destroyed? How many businesses have been destroyed?
Not yet. I have not. No.
Do you have an estimate as to how many millions of dollars of damage were caused?
No, I do not.
Google indicate how many employees are they? The operation up in Ann Arbor?
Yes.
They indicate how many?
No, they just said they were going to shut down and come tomorrow for assistance. I know the agricultural class at Dundee High School has 70 students. They're all coming this afternoon.
Chief, what are you going to have the volunteers doing now? What needs to be done by now?
One of the big things that they're going to do today, and the CERT Emergency Response Team out of Bedford Township, that's a volunteer organization, they are going to be escorting them into the community, to the residential units, and they are going to be checking with the residents with a checklist we prepared for them last night. If they need any type of assistance further, like ice, if they still need medication or oxygen, and they're going to supply them with resource numbers for them to call in the days ahead to see if they need anything.
Chief, funny question because of the weather caused this, but how helpful has the current weather?
It's been fantastic. You know, I mean, obviously, no rain and the temperature has been great, no humidity, and it's letting the workers do their job and get out into the community. So, been thankful for that, and thankful for no serious injuries.
Let me try a question this way. Is the state of emergency still in effect? At what point do you think you will lift that, if it is? And when, in your mind, are things close to normal?
Well, that's a very good question because we just got done talking about that, and the emergency management team that's here, we're going to reassess afternoon, right after lunch, whether we're going to start winding down our services and pretty much just be in a security mode for the area, especially with the traffic lights back on. And I think the gentleman from the emergency response team is looking at maybe packing up their bags this afternoon and kind of returning it back to the normalcy as we can.
Is it still a state of emergency?
Yes, it is at this time.
But you might lift that.
Might lift that this afternoon, yes, sir.
Federal help? Are you still asking for that?
We're still asking for state funding. That's still in limbo right now. We want to continue our talks with the state and try to convince them to funnel some funding down here to us, and also federal funding, yes.
Has there been any instances of people trying to take advantage of the situation, be it looters, scammers, etc.?
Well, and as you guys well know, we always have a little bit of that anywhere. We've had a few incidences of that, and with the great number of the state police and the county being here, we've been able to get a handle on that. And with our ID system that we've got in place, and we've pretty much been able to keep that to a minimum.
Chief, can you give an example of a specific
Well,
incident?
we like to check the contractors before they go out and make sure they have insurances and just to protect the residences.
Have you run into some contractors that do not have insurance?
We ran into some, yes, that's come in from out of state. Charging way more than they should be, hourly rate, trying to take advantage of the citizens, and we've pretty much taken care of that.
What do you do them out of town?
Escort them out, or do you?
We're asking them to come back into our facility here to talk with us. If they don't comply, then we ask them to leave the area.
Are contractors allowed to stay if they don't have village approval? Are they still allowed to stay and work in the area? Like, let's say somebody, they know their brother-in-law, or they own a tree trimming service, and they just say, "Come on over to my house and work." They're still allowed to work, but they just haven't been approved by the village. Is that what it is?
Yes, we will allow that, but we send an officer with them to verify that.
Is there anything now, looking with a little bit of hindsight, that could have been done differently that would have mitigated the damage at the start? I know some residents I spoke to complained that they didn't hear sirens. They felt they weren't adequately warned. What can we learn from how this was handled to prevent it from happening again?
And that has come up several times about the siren, but I heard them myself go off, and watching the TV stations. I mean, every station in the area was, tracking the storm all the way from the west side of the state of Michigan. I know I watched all the stations flipping back and forth for at least an hour that was warning the residents of this area that this bad storm was en route, and the emergency sirens did go off. But it was 2 o'clock in the morning. People were sleeping, and just basically didn't hear that.
Do you think it's because there was some sort of sound to not hear it?
Well, I'm sure they didn't, and I think it was they're in bed sleeping and didn't have their TVs or radios on.
No, but didn't hear it because they couldn't, because they're out of range, or just because they?
No, I pretty much everything in the township they have put out emergency sirens in strategic locations, and they worked with Detroit Edison on that. They were a strategic part of that, and there is testing every Wednesday on those sirens, and we have never had any complaints that someone has not been able to hear that those sirens going off.
Did you say there was a DT?
Yes, Detroit Edison is here also, so.
Can we hear from you? You are.
Hi, my name is Vince Dow, the Vice President of Distribution for Detroit Edison, DTE, DOW. First off, I wanted to I think this has been a great example of a community working together, the village, the township, the county, and the state, all working together with everybody to get this state of emergency resolved. The people in this community have just been especially helpful. I'd like to thank all of them. They've been out feeding our crews, taking care of them, seeing if they need water. It's a great example of southeastern Michigan and the community responding to an emergency and pulling together. So I think it's really a great example, and all of these guys should be equally thanked for pulling that together. I do want to say a couple things. One, the high school and the middle school are back in power. So I'm sorry for not getting that to you before. As of think of last night, about 10 o'clock, but I'm not sure the exact time on there. We're working really hard to get the vast majority of the customers in the city and the township back today. We know we'll still have work tomorrow for sure to clean up on the area. We've had over 300 people down here from Detroit Edison working in the area, coordinating out of our command center, trying to coordinate. We're working real hard with the village and the township to coordinate. We've got our chippers coming down here to help people clean up the brush because of it's a state of emergency to try to do that. And we're doing everything we can to get power back as soon as possible. And we just like to thank everybody else that's helping us out here. We're proud at Detroit Edison and DT Energy to be a member of this community and be involved in such a good community effort.
About 1,000 still in the dark right now, and do you have any kind of a number on utility poles that were snapped?
There's about you're saying in Monroe County or in. Yeah. In Monroe County, there's probably about, don't have the exact count right now, but about 850 customers still without power. The majority of those are either in Dundee or the Estrel Beach area. We're working hard to get those back on. In this area, we've dropped 125 poles, and we're going to drop another 50 poles today to be put back up. We've strung miles of wire. Had a pull of a whole mile section over there where we pulled in a mile of 3 different phases of wire, came back in. So you can imagine all of those and cross arms, poles, insulators, all the equipment that goes up in there.
Theoretically, school may be back then in session by the end of the week if they get that extra day to be able to fix things up, right?
Yes, I would anticipate that, yes.
Mr. Dow, how do you guys go about trying to figure out where you put restore power at first? Do you try to target, areas that have like nursing homes or schools, or how do you go about that?
So our plan is actually to work with the public safety areas first. So we look at hospitals, we look at police, fire communities, making sure they have power, and then we restore places with the medical emergencies and largest customers out. For this area, because it was so hard hit, we had to come in with a center. We started Sunday patrolling and assessing, and then just laying out a plan to get it because it was so devastated. We couldn't pick those areas. We had to actually put together a whole construction plan of feeding the area back in.
When's the last time DT had something this severe, had to respond to something like this?
Well, we have storms, as you know, through all the time. If you remember back, I think it was probably the Hamtramck tornado touchdown. Some of you may remember Focus Hope being damaged pretty heavily in the 90s. It was probably the last time we've seen a tornado come through. But we've had ice damages go through in a number of areas pretty significantly throughout.
To this extent?
Well, to this extent, this hit one significant area, but we've had wider areas hit with bigger thunderstorms knocking stuff down with high winds. A couple years ago, West Bloomfield area got hit really hard with a bigger area, less force of a hurricane than a tornado, but a wider area of higher winds.
Do you have a projection as to when the last customer will be turned on, and two, where might that be? I mean, what area is going to take the longest to get turned on?
I don't. It all depends right now on the weather. There is some heavy rains forecasted to come in later this evening, which will focus on that. It depends on the condition. I can't predict where the last customer is going to be back on. My desire would be to get every customer back tonight. I can't guarantee that. So there will probably be some customers tomorrow that we'll have to restore, little pockets here and there. But I can't predict where those pockets are going to be right now. I don't think any later than tomorrow.
A question about the school. I know you said the power's back on. We were over there this morning at Adams and Ypsilanti at the corner there, right by the middle school, and there are several power lines down in that intersection. Are you going to want all those picked up before you have school kids walking?
I can answer for myself. I want all of them picked up today.
So even though the power's on, that doesn't necessarily mean school's back tomorrow.
No, and I think all the parents they don't want their children walking by lines whether they're not charged or not. So like you indicated, they'll all be picked up prior to children being allowed.
Process.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, as you know, you can have power on the one side of the street, and the other side of the street you can have wires down. So you need to be careful, and we want to urge all of the residents to, if there is a down wire, stop, don't go near it, stay about 20 feet away from it at least. Give us a call, 1-800-477-4747, and if your phone's not working, we're going to be in the area anyway, and we'll take care of it today.
No instances of touch wires at this point. No one's had any incidents of touching wire yet.
I have not had any.
No, there's been no incidences with wires.
Mr. Dow, just to double check, when you said that when you refer to the 125 poles, that's the number that you guys have replaced already, or still have to replace?
We're done already.
Done already, and that's in Dundee alone.
Yes.
And then you have another 150 that you plan to replace today in Dundee?
No, there's a 50. We just dropped 50 more poles to put in today. There's probably several more that's got to be dropped. I just saw the pole trailer drive by here.
Okay, so 125 already replaced, another 50 more is slated for today.
Yep.
So in backtracking, do you know what the total figure was of poles that were damaged and destroyed?
In this area, that have been about 175. It'll probably be around 200 poles.
And thank all of you for helping us get the message out. We appreciate you being here.
Plan another briefing.